I mean, time's one of those things that you never get back. You can't pay for it, and once it's gone, it's gone forever. So at the time, wasting time or being overly productive in like a toxic way, that's something I wish I could have curbed a little bit or put a governor on. But when you're in your 20s and early 30s, I mean, you just got boundless energy, so you just always say yes.
Welcome to It Was All a Dream with me, Nathan. Today I'm joined by Knocko. Knocko, if you just want to introduce yourself, let the people know what it is you do and who you are.
Sure. Number one, thanks for having me on here. I love the idea. It's pretty brilliant, and honored to be a part of it. My name is Knocko. I'm turning 50 by the end of the year, and I was born and reared in New York City. You don't say raised. I just learned it's because you raise cattle, you don't raise humans. So I was born and reared in New York City. Uh, Stuck around there until I was about 20 something. And then I joined the police department. And I had the great pleasure of serving in Los Angeles, where I am now, in a major municipal police department. It's very famous, as well as the New York City Police Department, NYPD. So right now I'm a detective supervisor, and I help supervise a group of detectives that fight gun trafficking and illegal weapons and the use of it and reducing violent crime. It's a small specialized unit, plainclothes type of outfit. Really great detectives and people, and a really fine and worthy cause. So that's my mission as of today.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, not necessarily on the detective route, but was it always your dream to go into law enforcement or even down that actual detective side? Was that always a dream of yours from either a young age or I mean, for me, I got into doing photography and videography at more of a later stage. I think I was about 17 when I was like, this is what I want to do for my dream. So was it always a dream for you to want to go into that like law enforcement or detective route?
Well, if I can quote the late great Biggie Smalls, it was all a dream, and it really was. I had the rare opportunity, rare occurrence. I think it's rare anyway, of knowing what I want to do at a very young age. I was about 12 or 13, and I know a lot of people. My girlfriend that's on the job, she kind of stumbled onto law enforcement. She went to law school originally and just didn't get. She wasn't so keen on the mission over there, and then and switched sides and jumps to the law enforcement thing. So she had no clue whatsoever that she was going to do that. But I did at around, I want to say probably like about 12 or 13 years of age. I knew, I was like, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to put everything into it. And that was it. I mean, there were a couple of things before that, but they were just kind of just little slight ideas,
Yeah.
but nothing of like, no, this is my goal. This is what I want to do once I turn 21. That's the earliest age you could become a police officer in the United States.
Okay, amazing. So backing onto that, then you was obviously quite young, 12. So what inspired that dream? Was it either like being around it with family? Was it something that maybe you just kind of witnessed growing up that you was just like, "Oh, man, there needs to be a change here," or was it just from films? Or was it like, you've got all these great like police films and detective films? Was that
Mm-hmm.
what inspired it? So really just what really inspired that passion for you to chase that dream?
You know what? You nailed it. It was actually a little bit of all of that. It was family members, had a lot of family members in law enforcement and family members' friends. So growing up hearing those stories, and then the environment dictates a lot of that. I grew up in in New York City in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. It was very active with criminal activity. So I'd see the police in action quite often in my everyday occurrences, and that weighed in. And then what you mentioned about film, there was a very pivotal film that steered me in many directions. It was called The French Connection. It's known as a movie with one of the greatest, if not the greatest, vehicle pursuit scene. And seeing that was multi-pronged. It was a plainclothes detective that had a great partner with a very fascinating undercover, like covert mission, which I've gotten to do throughout my career. And it was also spurred the arty side of my brain because I found out through my dad that it was filmed in our neighborhood, which
Oh,
as a kids from Queens County, it's like I thought everything was filmed in Hollywood. It was like, what do you mean? It's filmed in our little, blue collar neck of the woods. And so after I saw the film, my dad pointed out certain things that where it was shot, and then as I become more engulfed in that film and more engulfed in law enforcement, I found out it was based on a true story and based on two NYPD detectives that worked in narcotics unit. And as I went down that rabbit hole, I found out one of the detectives, or both of the detectives, were actually technical advisors and served as like a little aide de camps to the director and brought him on ride-alongs and helped film some of the scenes and use some of the equipment. So I had no idea any of that went on. I'm like, wait a second, you could be in a great unit with an awesome mission that's worthy, and then you could somehow be involved in films and the arts. So I was like, that's that's exactly what I want to do as a lover of music, like you are, obviously,
yeah.
and lover of fine film and cinema. I mean, that just ticked off many boxes for me, and that was kind of my one of the detectives was called Eddie Egan. So he was like, he was a came from a blue collar neighborhood like me, Irish American kid, rough and tumbled neighborhood, loved getting his hands dirty, and then jumping into the Hollywood side. And I was like, wow, that's me. And as my career has gone on, I've been able to do a lot of those things that he was not at that highest level of with a director like Billy Freakin, but I'm working my way up to that, and I've helped so many people in the industry, and yeah, it was a great role model for me for many different ways of my career and passion.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, for me personally, like you said, how that film really was like just such a impactful moment for you. I think that because for me, I think that a massive turning point was it was a quote from Jim Carrey, and it was pretty much you can fail at something you don't want, so you may as well fail at something you do want.
Mm,
And it because at the time I was working security, and I was just like, I'm just not liking this job, and then I lost my job, and I was like, oh, now what? Like, you know, so I'm back to square one of trying to find another job. And at that point, I was like, I might as well just go for it.
yes.
And yeah, I think it's just such a great. It's insane how like something one person's dream can inspire your dream. Like I'm sure the director, his dream was to make that film, and it's just really cool to see that how impactful the like the impact that dreams can have. Like we're doing it for ourselves, but then we also inspire millions of others from doing that. And I think it's really cool. So just touching on that, and obviously where you mentioned about family members and stuff being kind of like what helped you know that that's the route you wanted to take. Who was any of your idols or heroes and some of your inspirations to kind of go into that? They can either be like business or personal. So whether there could have been a chief detective, like you said, there was one in your neighborhood that
Yeah,
was obviously quite an inspiration to you, but then maybe even like your father or anything like that. So it was who was your idols?
yeah, it was exactly that. The detective I mentioned before, that was a technical advisor, Eddie Egan, and then, like you mentioned again, you're a mind reader. Add that to your skills list on LinkedIn. But my dad, He was a U.S. Army Ranger, and he served in Vietnam, and his work ethic was incredible and still is. So he was kind of like a role model and a anti-role model at the same time. You know, uh, you know, he he was it was quite a dichotomy. It was like I learned what not to do and what to do at the same time. If that makes sense, by his
Yeah,
trials and tribulations, and then I kind of some of them I mimicked the same things, even if I knew they are wrong, and corrected those behaviors or what have you. So yeah, it's funny how someone can do two things at the same time and they could be right and wrong. And then on like the more artistic side of my brain, Jimmy Page, the guitarist from Led Zeppelin, was very pivotal
amazing.
in just how I approached things. He had an axiom of distance equals depth, and he talked about it in regard to how you record music. And in the 50s, they would put the mics right up to the drum set or the amplifiers. And he was like, no, let's put it down the hallway and just create some ambiance and reverb, and got some amazing sounds. I kind of didn't use that, in the literal sense, but just in life, just giving things distance, having depth in your life, and the layers of what Led Zeppelin was. They weren't a one-dimensional band. They were very three-dimensional, and sucked up influences from all over, from East India, and then Southern United States with the blues, and then creating their own thing. So that's how I just kind of always approached life, with just um, always trying to grab influences from all over, not trying to be in one silo, whether it's friends, having a certain group of friends that are politically aligned to this, or doing something at work which is something linear. I just want to be very open and diverse, like he was in his approach to making music. So I definitely count him as a mentor.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, yeah, again, touch on what you just said there. I think it's quite cool because for me, I read a book. It wasn't that long ago. It was probably a couple of years ago now. Matthew McConaughey's book,
Oh,
Green Lights.
great. Yes.
Fantastic, right? And it's
Unbelievable.
just the way he sees it. Of obviously, like it may be a red light now, but when you look back in the rearview mirror, it's going to be a green light. And I think it's such a positive way to look on life. you know
Yes.
and
Yes.
again, that
That's
was such a simple thing, and just by shifting your vision to understanding that, it changes so much in a grand scheme of stuff, of where you can see like your limits, then that although it could be a no, or there is a wall there, you can go through it or over it. And when you look back, you're like, oh, there's a reason that wall was there, and it's actually worked out better for me. You know. So
Yes. Yeah. Brilliant book. I recommended that so many times to people, and they came back with great reviews. And
dude,
yeah, I
I gave
subscribe.
that book out to someone. I had the hard copy. I was like, yo, you've got to read this book. Like, and there's like, can I borrow it? I was like, yeah, sure. They went traveling. I haven't seen the book back. I'm like, do you know what? It's fine. I've read it. Like, enjoy it.
Yes. Yes. It's yeah, I subscribe to the same mindset. We've had a lot of riotous behavior here in the States in the last couple of years. And some of my colleagues have seen that as obstacles, and I don't even see. I don't see. I try to tell them it's not an obstacle. See it as a challenge, and then lay on to that. See it as an opportunity. See how you could leverage those things um, to open up new possibilities. And so I don't see them as red lights at all. Like Matthew McConaughey, that's a green light, or maybe these things could even be a yellow light. But I'm going, if I see the wall, I'm gonna go around it. I'm gonna tunnel underneath it. And yeah, of course I've hit my head trying to go through it, and it doesn't work. So we got to be creative, be open to different possibilities, and see all these things for what they really are, and look beyond the initial obstacle. I try to say, all these things are going to build you up. So you may not see the price of the how worthy they are of these opportunities. But in 5, 10, 15 years from now, when people look back and you're training rookies or family members or your kids, they're like, wow, what was it like during the riots and this and that, and you're going to be able to give them this treasure trove of information. And if you weren't there or didn't participate in it, there's no story to tell, there's no lesson. So all these things, these are opportunities, and it's you should be craving them and looking for them, no matter how tough they are.
Oh, 100%. I couldn't agree more, to be honest with you. So, you've obviously been quite successful. I've seen a bit of your story about not only where you started, but some of the like the stuff you've achieved within the business. Um, Tasks, I guess you would say, like some of the assigned tasks you've worked on and stuff. You've obviously had a real like phenomenal career. What what would you say was some of the hardest moments to do, and how did you achieve the success? Because obviously there's going to be a lot of people that want to be in your position, either that are under you at the moment or that want to be in your position in 20 years from now. So like, how did you achieve the success you have?
Good question. How I get through pretty much everything is not taking no for an answer. It's just being a thick-headed, persistent, tenacious individual. And whether it's trying to achieve to get a different position within the police department, or working a certain unit, or capturing a criminal, is just not taking no for an answer. And say, okay, one door shuts, let's blast another one down. Let's keep on going. And yeah, nothing for me has ever come easy. And I've had to fight for everything I've achieved. Very The things that are just laid out in front of you that initially, that seems like it's a good thing, but you don't remember those. It gets discarded. I mean, it's the one of my most treasured items is like a 1959 Les Paul replica that I bought down in 48th Street in Manny's music store, very famous place, and I saved up, I think, like more than a year for that. So I just remember all the work I did, and then the day I had to go, I went down there, and they looked at me, when I said, "Hey, want that guitar." Like, what? I was like some punk 13-year-old kid. Like, yeah, I got all the money right here. I want that guitar. And I go, oh, okay. And opening it up and smelling it and seeing it and just knowing that I bought that. Now, if someone gave it to me, it would have been great, but it's discardable after a while. But I'll never forget all the blood, sweat, and tears that went into that. So same thing with every unit I've been in, or really good apprehension. It was never just dumb luck. It was just keep on scratching and just, yeah, not just pushing through. And again, not taking no for an answer. Like, I'm not satisfied with that. I'm going to find a way. There's going to be, you're going to get sick of me after a while, and then I'm going to wear you down. Like, all right, let this kid in. He's got,
Definitely.
I'm done getting my balls busted. So
I do exactly the same. I'm like, the worst thing anybody could ever say to me is no. So I may as well like ask, like, hey, can I take your photo? Hey, can I do this? And if they're like, no, okay, like, I'll find a way. Yeah, I'll just make sure you just keep seeing my name everywhere else. And you go, like, who is this guy?
yes,
So just on that, then, you've had obviously tough times. So is there any sacrifices that you've had to make to get where you are today? And if there is, do you regret any?
a lot of sacrifices. Yeah, probably. I mean, a lot of working overtime. Probably, the unnecessary overtime where you stretch yourself too thin, for like monetary reasons or whatever, or just selfish reasons, and not spending enough time with family and friends. And I mean, times one of those things that you never get back. You can't pay for it, and once it's gone, it's gone forever. So at the time, wasting time or being overly productive in like a toxic way, that's something I wish I could have curbed a little bit or put a governor on. But when you were in your 20s and early 30s, I mean, you just got boundless energy. So you just always say yes. And there's something that's going to go to the wayside. And that was definitely, some good family time. And so that's probably something I would change if I had to do it all over again.
I'm assuming it was quite hard for you to almost say no as well, because you're obviously passionate about the job. So when you're so passionate about something, you're like, "Oh, I don't mind staying here till 11, 12 o'clock at night, working out, like working on this, trying to crack this case or whatever it could be. You know, if to you, it's quite normal just to sit there and just keep going at it because you're just passionate about the end result, you know?
Right.
So I can just imagine it's like, whereas anybody else looking in wouldn't see that, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely addictive. You get those dopamine hits and what have you, but then you got to know you have to have that balance in your life. And I'm at that place now. I know when to say no, and I know I really treasure my off-duty time now. So I put a high value on that. So I definitely learned from my mistakes. So
There's two more questions. Or I guess we can split this one into two, so there'll be three more. What's the best bit of advice you've ever received?
best bit of advice I ever received. I was mulling that over. Um, it's probably from my dad through examples of always showing up. He's one of the best friends you could have, and he was whenever someone needed him, he was always there for them, for better or worse. And for him, it came down a lot of it, came down to like the U.S. Army Ranger Creed. I mean, he really lived that, or still does, and passed that on to me. So, not only like on a tactical sense, but on a loyalty sense. So his loyalty was is everything, and he passed those on to me. So my friends are family. So showing up is and doing the work and putting in the hard work is the advice that I always got from him. It's like you could party your ass off and do whatever when you're off, but when someone needs you, or you gave your word to do something, you show up and you do it to the best of your ability, no matter what happened the night before or last week.
Okay, cool. So then obviously that's the advice he gave you. For anybody wanting to go to where you are now, what advice would you give to them?
If you want to go into law enforcement and
Yeah, and become to either a detective or into the law enforcement itself, what advice would you give to someone that wanted to follow the same path that you have?
yeah, nowadays it's completely different from when I came up. I would say to the youth, you know, things that you post online are so important because, as we know, you come into your 20s or 30s or whatever, and there's a little time machine people go on called, social media, and they can scroll through your posts and see what you've posted. And, you know, what happens in your teens could affect you in your 20s or 30s or whenever you want to join the police department. So part of the background process is giving up your passwords to your social media accounts and all that, so they could do a thorough background to see who you are and who you associate with. So I mean, teens, I'm just speaking for myself. I mean, I was a complete knucklehead, and you'd say complete moronic things. And if it was social media stuff, I'd be posting stupid things and saying outlandish things to get people's goat and really piss people off, and that could really haunt you. Just one statement can haunt you for the rest of your life, as we've seen with people that, athletes or celebrities or whatever, and they completely derail their career. So that would probably be like the number one thing if you're looking to come into law enforcement. It's all about your reputation and morals and ethics. And someone could see something that you posted, and you could lose your possible career just on that one little post that meant nothing, but for someone else that means a lot. So really watch what you say, because you don't know when you're recorded or being videoed, and watch what you post. And obviously always you have to, one slip up could again derail your career. One drinking in public, driving drink driving, any of those things. Just one little slip up is, depending on what agency you apply for, they just, nope, you're not needed. We don't want you. And then with the police department, usually if you get denied entry into one agency, every other agency follows suit. They're like, oh yeah, they rejected you, we're going to reject you. So then you're done. You're completely blackballed from the industry. So I just happened to get lucky. When I was a kid, I was good at running people and dodging things. So, but I could have easily derailed my career, and I had no backup plan because this is all I ever wanted to do. So I would have been screwed. I was destined to do this because I definitely did some wild stuff as a teenager that could have killed everything I'm doing now.
Okay, amazing. So, just on really, it's the final question now. So, we obviously touched on how successful your career is. Do you mind if I read a bit of like your LinkedIn bio out?
Sure.
So, obviously, you mentioned in there that you have worked with like violent crimes investigation and trying to like you was working undercover, arresting prostitutes and pimps and stuff like that. And I believe against child abuse as well.
Hmm.
And then you worked in the detective squad to help against any sexual assaults and sex crimes. And then you done a joint task force with the FBI.
Yes.
So you've obviously achieved a lot in your career. It's more of just this could be split into two answers, and I know I'm going to ask you the question. You're going to have a lot of answers come straight to your head, but what is the proudest moment in your career that you've achieved? So, or even the proudest moment in your life that can either be personal and business, or if there's just one that completely tops everything. So, what is the proudest moment?
Yeah, it was probably one of the proudest and saddest moments at the time. Was, I don't know why, if you ask me next week, it'll be something different. But like right here, right now, one of the things that popped up was when I was kind of in my formative rookie years, somewhat, making my bones still, and like maybe like that third or fourth year of law enforcement as a patrol cop in uniform. My partner and I responded to a 911 call of a woman that just got raped, and we get to her house, we start talking to her. Really nice neighborhood, affluent neighborhood, very highly educated woman, super warm and friendly. And she proceeds to tell us that, this horrendous rape that happened. She went to, throw out some garbage in the bin. Some guy just happened to be watching her in the bushes, comes into her house. She comes in and doesn't even know it. And then this guy attacks her and rapes her. And she happened to have a pistol on the side of a bed, and he took the pistol. And the reason why he had the pistol was because her boyfriend gave her that. She went to university and up in San Francisco in the Bay Area, and she was victim of a stranger rape up there as well. So it happens. He moves down to Los Angeles, and it happens again. So I'm hearing his story, and I'm just crumbling inside, trying to stay strong. And I'm like, I can't believe what this woman's gone through in life. I mean, having it happen once, completely shatter most people, and happen again. I'm like, wow, this is horrendous. So that was incredibly sad to witness that and deal with that. And then on the flip side was my partner and I made a vow, like, we're getting this guy no matter what. I'm like, I could smell it. I know we can get this guy. And it took us about, I want to say about maybe a month to maybe 2 months. And then we finally nailed him. And it was, oof. I mean, the adrenaline that was going through me of, like pride and everything else, and trying to get some closure for this woman, just something to give back. I'm
Yeah.
like, there's nothing I can do other than this to try to, ease a little bit of pain. And we did it. And we conquered the odds because we kept on pestering our bosses, because we were just supposed to answer, emergency calls. And it's kind of hard to sidetrack from that. And and in a patrol environment, really, not as a detective investigator like I am now, to really set up surveillances and talk to informants and cultivate information. Like, there's no one that had time for that. And we really carved out a lot of time and asked a lot from our bosses, like, hey, we're on a mission to get this guy. And they believed in us, and we finally did it. And that was an extremely proud moment of my career that I could give a little back to her.
That's amazing. And did you get to catch up with her after and like publicly, or like?
No, the
Uh,
detective that handled her case, they're the ones that that do
yeah,
all that. And no, but I knew someone would, so I was fine with that. But just I could fulfill the mission was incredible.
no, that's beautiful. Like you said, it's sad, but it's beautiful that you managed to at least get some form of like ease for her in that sense, and kind of close that chapter for her.
Yes, yes.
So I do have one more question there. I mean, we've got like 7 minutes left, so um, it's just going to be a quick fire question. There must have obviously been times where you've got to the point where you're like, "Oh, I just can't do this anymore. I want to quit. Like, I've had like a continuous 7 days bad luck, and it's just not going right for me." And is there ever a time where you've wanted to give up on this dream and it kept you going? And if so, what kept you going?
Yeah, throughout the career, I mean, it's there's a lot of bumps in the road. There's some ups and downs, and then as you get stuck or placed in different units or places that you didn't think you'd wanted to be in, and then when you look back, you're like, okay, this happened for a reason. I didn't get this position, or I got put into this position, and again, it was one of those things where I thought at the time it was an obstacle, and it was really an opportunity, and in reality, a gift. So there's been numerous times that's happened to me, and I wouldn't say giving up on a dream, or like it would be more of like closing out the dream of retirement. Now that I've been doing this for almost like 3 decades, when I come back from holiday after like 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm back at work, and after I've slept normal, I've wake up when the sun rises, because usually I wake up at 3:45 in the morning, and
Wow.
after living a normal lifestyle, and I'm like, wow, do I want to go back into the breach and keep doing this? Like, how much longer do I have in the tank? And so I wouldn't say it's giving up. I was like putting it to bed. So I struggle with that sometimes, especially when I come back from holiday. But then I see all the challenges that lie ahead, and all the things I could still give back to my organization. Like the first half of my career was trying to apprehend every criminal I could find. Like, and the second half has been now of giving those lessons that I've learned and knowledge, and passing that on to the next generation so they don't make the same mistakes that I do.